This is the Coin It Podcast, sponsored by CoinCosmo.com. Have fun like a collector. Think like an investor. Whether you're just a hobbyist or looking for an alternative investment with rare coins, paper money, NFTs, or art, your host, Charles Jonath, is covering it all. Now your host, Charles Jonath.
All right, so we're here with Jeffrey from Premier Rare Coin down in Palm Beach, Florida. Well-established dealer down there, very active. I've been following you guys on Instagram, obviously. So tell us a little bit. Well, first of all, I wanted to start out because you guys were just recently at the Central States, right?
Yeah, in Chicago. I don't know how to pronounce that place. Schaumburg, Illinois.
Oh, yeah, Schaumburg.
Schaumburg, yeah. So it's in the middle of nowhere in Chicago. But
right.
The Renaissance Hotel that they do it at, it was pretty funny. I posted a picture. One of their main advertisements for the Central States over the ANA is you don't have to worry about mobs, street mobs to be specific.
Right.
Because I don't know if you've ever been to the ANA or whatnot, but usually you stay in O'Hare. And then you have to travel across a few streets to get into the Stephan Convention Center. Correct. Which in the Central States show, they have it at the Renaissance Hotel, so everything's in one. So we just landed like literally on Thursday. We landed in the morning at 9 o'clock, and with our baggage and everything, we literally just put our suitcases in the safe, and went straight to the hotel, and then at the end of the night checked into our room, which happened to be the same place. So I will say it makes it convenient, but you do miss out on a little bit of Chicago. We didn't get to visit the Bean or anything downtown.
Yeah, it does. It's hard to do that when you're working and you're there all day, but the convenience of that is really nice though. I think whenever you're going to a show and you're handling coins and stuff like that, I feel like it's more of a seamless process when you're just like in one place. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I will say, like, luckily I'm a bigger guy and a little bit younger, so like I'm not much of a target as some of the other coin dealers may be. Yeah. Obviously, there's been a lot of thefts recently at shows and after shows. Right. And I was dealing with a lot of not even dealers but coin collectors that were saying that they've been robbed at the Central State show because they stayed across the street and would they would leave after the show and whatnot, and someone would just hey, give me your watch, your wallet, and whatever's in your hand. Yeah. So, that stuff doesn't happen if you don't leave the hotel. Right. At least you hope it doesn't happen inside the hotel. So
usually it doesn't if you're just aware of that stuff and you stay all in one place. And then I don't know about you guys, but when we do them or whatever, we ship out all the inventory. So once I'm leaving, I'm not like handling anything.
Yeah, that works. I haven't done that yet. I know, obviously there's many different methods, but I really just, I take a buddy or two with me and we try to fit all the most expensive stuff in like a carry-on or something. That way it honestly never leaves our side. And then we'll probably put more of the bulk stuff and like the setup and stuff and like big old carry-ons and stuff like that. So it's not too bad.
Right. So how was it? How did it go?
I mean, honestly, it was fantastic. Obviously, we missed Dealer Day on Wednesday, which, we had a bunch of friends there that were sending us pictures of our booth and stuff like that. And it was just fantastic. But honestly, from start to finish, obviously, we have a more specialized inventory, considering we deal in a lot of like, shipwreck stuff, modern stuff and stuff like that. It's not your everyday merchandise, right? But we built such an established name and stuff like that people know where to go. We were right across from PCGS. They had their grading specialist that was literally right next to us, which was pretty cool. So it did bring over a lot of traffic. We did do very well at the show, and moved a lot of inventory and bought a lot of inventory as well, which is always a plus.
That's great.
Yeah, for the first time going to the Central State show, I definitely am going to say I'll be back. That's really cool.
Very cool, man. No, I'm glad to hear it. It traditionally was a very good show. It has been, and then it seemed like it took a dip for a period, but I think that show's coming back. I think it's going to be one of the main ones.
Yeah, they they haven't had a show in, I guess, like 2 or 3 years because of COVID. So, all the shows right now are breaking records. The summer or the winter fun show that was in January this year was, record breaking for like practically every dealer I know. So, I guess you would say that's a great sign. People are excited to get back to shows. They're excited to get out. And this was my first show where we didn't have to wear a mask or no restrictions on that. So that was pretty interesting as well. As you can see with a big beard.
You got some protection there.
With a mask is, it's
it's tough.
To say the least.
No, I hear you.
So
it's cool. I'm glad things are starting to get back and people are getting out a bit. And I think you're right. I think everyone is just was cooped up and want to go to shows, want to see new inventory. If it's not up for auction, then you can't find it basically. Or if people don't have retail sites where you could purchase, it becomes hard. So, and they want to find like little gems. I think there's always a bit of excitement when you go to a show and you find something cool.
Yeah. And not only that, though, a lot of people forget that, a vast majority of these shops or dealers at shows have been around for a long time. They have brick and mortar shops. So, those are usually the places that you can go to figure out like what has the population brought into them recently.
Right.
And you always get a lot of those boosts where this just came in. I haven't had a chance to look over everything or send anything off into graded. Take a look and tell me what you think.
So true.
And those are usually the best opportunities that I find. And that's why I love going to shows. I mean, originally I would say the first, almost 4 to 5 years of being in the business, I never had a booth at a show. I would just go and walk around the shows, go to table, introduce myself to whoever's there, find the booths that have a lot of the general inventory that I like and give them my card, explain to them who I am. And hey, this is what I'm looking for. And this is the price range that I look for it in. If you guys come across it at any point in time, skip the show and call me immediately. And I think just doing good business like that over the last decade has really helped us to get to where we are today.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because I think that's a really good point. Like, especially if you specialize in something, you have a specific clientele for that type of coinage. So if another dealer comes across that and that's not where his customers are, I mean, it becomes very easy. Now you opened up a whole new channel to do business with someone else who has that sort of clientele.
Absolutely. So, and you never really know. I mean, again, most of the time when you go, like, luckily for us, we're Florida based. So the fun show is a local show for us. It's a 2.5 hour drive. So that was the first show we went to a lot and really dedicated our time and effort to. And I mean, the summer show that's coming up in like a month isn't that big. It's about the same size as Central States, but the winter show is huge. I think it's one of like the top 5 coin shows for dealer purposes in the United States.
It's probably the biggest now, the winter fun.
Yeah, I would say between that one and probably the ANA. Those two would probably be the top 2. ANA definitely, from my understanding, surpasses by a little bit, but I think it's like 1,800 fun and like 20-something hundred ANA. So they're respectively similar. But what I love about the fun show is you get a lot more overseas people. You get a lot more out of the States people, just because it's easy to travel to Orlando. Right. It's easy to get there. And you get a lot of that aspect. So if you are a world coin dealer, if you like that kind of stuff, you get a lot more people that bring, again, dealers that have brick and mortars that, have their own business, that are just bringing a snapshot of their inventory from whatever country or state that they're from, and bringing them in. That's why it's so good. And from my perspective, I mean, if you look at like East Coast versus West Coast, you'll see, East Coast has a lot more, world coins, shipwreck, and specialty items like that. While if you go over to like the West Coast, you find a lot more like territorials, nuggets, and more memorabilia.
Correct.
So to say. So you have your markets, you have your places. So that's why it's sometimes good to cross and go through. I mean, some of the major shows that we go to and have representation at would be, Fun Show, Baltimore, ANA, now Central States, and Long Beach. Yeah. Those are really the big ones that we try to make it to every year.
How is that doing Long Beach for you guys coming out from the East Coast?
I mean, it's a long flight, especially, again, I'm a big dude. So getting on planes and flying all the way out there, and then, having to get to Long Beach. But I would say overall, they do about 3 of them, I believe, a year. We try to get to about 2 of them. And they do pretty well. I would say those are more buying opportunities for us than selling opportunities, since there's not a large collecting population of like Cobs or world coins, like I was saying before, on the West Coast.
That's
a lot of big buyers, but just not in that industry for the most part.
Correct. So that's, you seem to specialize in that sort of stuff, like the old Spanish gold, pioneers, Cobs, and stuff like that. I mean, are you guys like I know, is that seems to be a thing in Florida, because I know the Sedgwick is there, right? And he
well, they're in
sort of,
Orlando, Daniel Sedgwick and them. So they're a little bit, again, they're about 2.5 hours north of us. But I mean, I started in this industry. My original business cards said we specialize in pre-1933 gold. I mean, double eagles are still to this day my favorite coin on the planet, right? I have like a whole workup on them on why you can get a double eagle for cheaper than silver, which blows people's minds a lot of the time because they've never actually done the math.
When you assess the numbers, right?
Yeah, buying buying a monster box versus spending the same amount of money buying double eagles.
It's crazy, huh?
You can get 100-year-old certified gold coin in mint state and spend about half the premium.
Yeah,
which is insane. Considering on an $18,000 deal, buying double eagles, you're looking at around like $3,200 premium.
Especially now. I mean, the premiums are crazy on bullion. So
it's even worse now. When you're looking at, for example, I have it written down here, a monster box is around $6,400 premium, while the same amount of money spent on 8 double eagles, about $3,160 in premium.
Wow.
So, I mean, you're looking at over double the premium to buy a modern monster box today versus buying with the same money 8 double eagles. And, I tell a lot of my customers, again, I'm a big guy. I can't carry that many monster boxes.
That's right.
Versus I can easily walk out the door with, 8 ounces of gold.
Isn't that fascinating? You could go anywhere in the world with those coins and then just call up the auction house and you're home free.
Absolutely. I personally, that's the number one coin I go to. That's one of my favorite coins. I personally collect them. It's what we sell the most of. But getting back to your question, we just kind of fell into the shipwreck stuff because our old office was on the island in North Palm, which is one of the biggest marinas for the boat. So you get a lot of the yachties and stuff that are in town that go scuba diving a lot. And it just so happened that we're on the Treasure Coast. So usually you'd get people coming into your office like, hey, is this nickel worth any money? I saw a buffalo with an extra leg. While we had people coming into our office going, hey, I just found this at the beach. Or, hey, I'm in town for a little bit. My boat's docked here. I'm looking for some type of shipwreck. So we just started getting so many local customers asking us for this material or bringing the material in.
Yeah,
that, we just started looking for it. And now we've built up such a large distribution. We supply a lot of the keys, St. Augustine, and a lot of the shipwreck coins, or we have people that buy them from us, and or distribute them through a network.
So,
I'm always a buyer.
Who exactly are the collectors of that stuff? Are they here in the U.S. or are they abroad?
So believe it or not, most of my collectors, that stuff is local. And again, that's why we fell into it. Most of my customers, they literally, I call them and they race to my office to come and check it out. It's my friends, it's my family. I mean, I don't know someone, at least from my perspective, if you're born and raised in Florida, I don't know anyone that doesn't already have some type of Cobb necklace or hasn't always wanted one. It's probably a Florida thing. Again, being, this close to the beach, being that it is our history for shipwrecks. They call this the Treasure Coast, right? For a reason. So it's just insane, like how much like history and culture is right around here. Because I mean, at the end of the day, Cuba was ideally the last pit stop, before leaving back to the mainland or any of, the Bahama Islands or any of that stuff. Right. So, just getting unlucky and getting hit by a hurricane, sank some of the most famous shipwrecks that we know of today.
It's very interesting. And there's a lot of things working there with that stuff. Not only a big local collection of it. I think it's part of the lore, probably being in Florida and just close to that history there. And then people finding stuff too, obviously, like little treasure here and there over the years, and people hearing the stories about it. But also, like Sedgwick, they did a lot of research on this stuff. They've published a lot of, quality research and books, and then building up the demand for it. It adds to that over time, and now it seems like there's a well-established collector base for that stuff.
Yeah, and what really helps out is that you know, a lot of people, when they originally got this stuff, you know, you always hear the story, you know, oh yeah, Mel Fisher, one of the guys, they pulled up in like old Chrysler or, you know, Cadillac and opened up the trunk and, you know, they had $1 million of the stuff there and you just kind of bought what you wanted, you know, just barely above spot.
Right.
And most of those people immediately put it into jewelry. So, you know, a vast majority of the historical stuff that even exists is hold or, you know, been bezeled or been cleaned. So there's, you know, for example, Lima Mint 8 Escudos, there's like less than 2,000 of them certified, according to NGC and PCGS, like in existence. And that's from like 1640s to like 1850s. So a 200-year time period of every gold cob in a 1 ounce form or 8 Escudo that was ever produced by the Lima Mint. There's only 2,000 of them today, in every grade, every condition, every date, every mint mark, period. That's certified. So when you start to put that into perspective, I mean, there's like tens of thousands, 1904, and mint 60, 61, like, you know, it's remarkable. So when you're talking that the entire collection is less than 2,000, you know, 1 ounce gold coins for that particular mint, you know, you start looking at, you know, very low populations and very scarce coins. So I think that's really come to market. I mean, if you look at world coins, shipwreck coins, Cobs and stuff like that, it's been a long time where I've been able to bid less than estimate in practically any auction when it comes to these types of coins.
You feel like the market seems to be picking up, right? It's
it's skyrocketing. I mean, like I said, let me this way, when I went to the Central State Show, I bought the only 8 Escudo under $30,000 that was there.
Wow.
Right. And that's abnormal. Usually I'm able to find a handful here and there, even if they're, you know, polished or been in jewelry, I'm able to find something. I was only able to find one. Everyone else was asking, you know, I wouldn't say outrageous prices, but what the market is bringing.
Right.
You know, I was joking with our GM the other day because we were going through Heritage and we were looking at like, you know, just, you know, hey, we could use some more inventory. So what we like to do is go on to, you know, all the other old coins we used to bid on and stuff like that, because Heritage allows you to make offers to people. Sometimes you get them, most of the time you don't.
Sure.
But we were going on there and we're like, man, how arrogant was I? Because I bid 3,500 max and I lost it at 3,750. You know, for a coin I'd pay $10,000 for today. And that was 2 years ago.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, I would say when it comes to particular like gold Escudos, gold Cobs, they've almost doubled, if not tripled in value over the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, man. I mean, especially something that scale, you know?
The problem is, and I wouldn't say problem, the most of the time what I usually see is that you find a sector of coins that hasn't been certified yet. And what happens is a lot of people start selling them. The ones that are certified for a gross amount of money, they start going in auctions and stuff like that. And then you usually start seeing a flood of coins that like, oh, I have a coin like that. Let me go get it graded. Let me see what I got. And then sometimes you'll see the market dip a little bit because there's so many more coins coming to population. And then all of a sudden you see that submission stop. And then you just see like an assessment of the market and then everything skyrockets.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I thought about that quite a bit, and I'm curious to see what you think about this. I think it might have to do you think that has something to do with the inefficiencies in the grading process for that type of coin? Like they haven't done it right yet, or they haven't figured out a clear grading method?
What do you mean by grading inefficiencies?
So like when you're looking at like Cobs and stuff like that, like how do they really look at grading? Like, because a lot of them have been underwater, they've been treated, you know, there's things that have come over the so many years of this stuff and the way they were shaped, and a lot of them put in jewelry. I mean, is there really a clear grading criteria?
Yeah, so there is. I mean, I would say NGC is definitely the world leader in world coins, at least.
Right.
I think they just broke like the world record for the most amount of coins certified, different coins or something like that. So, I mean, you definitely have your pros and your cons. Right. You know, if I have like a really high end US coin, I probably send it over to PCGS. If I have a high end, you know, world coin or shipwreck, I'm most likely going to send it over to NGC.
Got it.
But you know, so far, you know, I think they're very good on it. Like if you have like an Atosha coin with an original Mel Fisher tag, like NGC won't even practically grade them anymore because of the amount of like fakes that exist out there, the amount of, you know, real Atosha silver, which is pretty much just a dinged up like cup or plate that they had melted down. They had rescanned some of the dies that were on the ship or some old coins, and they're remaking modern restrikes with authentic Atocha silver. So the problem is, you know, you have a lot of that stuff that exists. I mean, eBay just did a large scrape where practically anyone that had raw material that claimed shipwreck were practically wiped off of eBay, because they found it was such a fraudulent error of how many people were selling fake coins. It was just ridiculous. Hence why we get 99% of all of our coins graded. Like, even if I get it in a bezel, I'll pop it out of the bezel, send it into NGC or PCGS, get it back, put it in the bezel, and then you know, sell you the photo authentication with it, either the TrueView or NGC style, which we've seen it does bring a slight premium above. But the interesting part about it is like, how do you say, like salt corrodes chrome. Salt water does that to silver, but not really to gold. So from my understanding, most silver coins that have saltwater damage, let's just say in 1,000 years, will turn into dust, right? Well, that doesn't happen to gold coins. So they're capable of giving straight grades and stuff like that. Now, if there is damage, they'll get saltwater damage. If there's edge filing or X jewelry and stuff like that, it'll get that. So getting a straight grade is almost impossible on a shipwreck from silver. So if you find one, that's usually valuable. While it's more common for gold coins. I see that they're getting, very stringent on, requiring an abundance amount of documents to be able to get it in a certification for shipwreck. So I've had no loss in faith when it comes to the process, because I mean, it's rigorous. I can tell you that much.
That's great. That's very good news.
Yeah, but I would say the only problem that I see is the resubmissions. But I mean, that's a problem across the board.
Yeah,
because PCGS and GC don't really communicate. So if I were to look at the 2,000 or less Lima Mint coins in the 8 escudos in NGC, for example, how many of those are resubmissions? Right? How many of those were, I had an AU 58, I thought it was a little bit better, I sent it back in for a 63 or a 62, right? And that 58 was never taken out, right? Or vice versa. I sent it over to PCGS, because that's what a lot of people will do now. They'll get a world coin that's a high grade or tied for a high grade in NGC. They'll bring it over to PCGS, get the same crossover grade, but now it's not tied in, right? It's only one known in PCGS.
If you don't,
or top pump. So you got to be smart looking at both of them.
Right. If they're not updating the population reports, it's very hard to tell. I mean,
and that's a problem with a lot of coins right now. I think there, especially a lot of high-end coins where like you have a lot of like OGHs, right? Or like fatty holders and stuff like that. You see a lot of people resubmitting those for higher grades, and other, in other housings and whatnot. So what is happening with those? Are they being taken out? Are they? And I usually say that that's not a bad thing for the coin market, because at the end of the day, when that is corrected or when that is fixed, right, it can only lower the populations of certain coins, making those coins, if you have them, more valuable.
Right.
Does it stink right now? Sure. But I haven't met anyone that could come up with a realistic solution that would work. We'd have to practically get every coin regraded.
No, I know. And they probably will. I mean, I'm hoping so, at least. That would be interesting to see what the numbers really truly are, because you're right. A lot of those coins got cracked out of old green holders, especially the original PCGS ones, the rattlers. Now, rattlers are becoming a thing to where they're just having a rattler holder is becoming rare. So,
well, yeah, I know people that pay premiums for rattlers, NGC fatties, and
100%.
even old annex holders. They bring a high. I had an annex holder and a shipwreck coin that I sold at the Central State show, and the guy's like looking at me, he's like, "Dude, this thing's cracked. Like, do I get a discount on this?" I'm like,
no.
Like to be honest with you, or if I could have given a better, if it wasn't in an old school annex holder, I would have taken it out and sent it into NGC or PCGS. But because this holder brings value, I didn't want to pop it out.
Right, exactly.
So it's interesting within that as well. I've seen a lot of that recently.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But like you said, like what happens if they resubmit the same coin 5 times because they're looking for a better grade, or a star or proof like, or some type of designation. So what happens to all those grades? What happens to that population and stuff like that? So
right. So let me ask you, so if someone wanted to build like a really good collection of shipwreck stuff and Cobs and that kind of thing, how would you approach it if you're starting from the scratch, let's say?
Obviously it depends on budget. So if you're saying like, I just got into this world, what do I want? I tell most people to stick to the gold if you can while you're starting out. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of silver coins that carry a lot of value, that bring a lot of value. But there's a large abundance of a real Cobs that exist. But I can tell you right now that there's also a large variety that go for a ton of money. Well, the gold escudos and a lot of the gold coins, the populations are so low. I mean, if you get a gold coin with a full date on it, winner, chicken dinner. I mean, and obviously the smaller in denomination you get, the more expensive they become in dates. So, if you're out there, if you're going to the shows, if you're doing those things, keep an eye out for that. Look for those kind of things. Silver coins are obviously a little bit cheaper, but again, it comes back to that premium. You're going to pay a lot more premium for a silver cob than you are a gold cob.
Right.
It's just the way it is. So it depends where you want to be and where you want to go. But then again, a silver Atosha goes anywhere between $2,400 to $3,000, to $5,000, while the 121 gold coins they found, the last one went for $90-something thousand for like a one escudo that wasn't even that exciting.
Yeah.
So it's so specialized that the coolest thing about getting into this market and the world coin market is that there are so many niches within this one niche.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You can specialize in other world recs, right? South Africa recs, here you can specialize in South America versus like Spain. And then obviously the varieties that go through there. I know some collectors that make an entire living on just buying counter stamps. Which are super cool because they tell an amazing story.
So now what about the coinage that didn't get shipwrecked, essentially the same type of coins, but somehow they made it back to Spain or whatever? And like, how is that? How does that work? Is there a difference? Is there premium basically with some of the more well-known shipwrecks versus the ones that made it out, or is it vice versa?
Yeah. So rule of thumb, I would say every coin you see that has a shipwreck pedigree, you can almost double. Right. If I got the crappiest, like you can't even tell where it's from, right? I can just barely see a little bit on each side. Like I buy those in bags for $75 to $125 a piece.
Right.
Right. That same coin in a shipwreck is minimum $200-300. Right. So almost every coin practically doubles with a shipwreck pedigree to it. And then when you start tying it to like, the Wyndham with the Black Samwreck, right. For example, that's a 8 real that, I'm currently bidding on over 10K on. You get to 17, 15 fleet gold, Atosha silver, gold, then, the more famous the pedigree is, right? Who owned it? Was it in a book? Was it, original taller coin? So the far back you can trace the history of who owned it, where'd it come from, who found it, etc. The more magnitudes it increases in price.
So pedigree is a big thing there.
It is everything.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that's probably across the board, but yeah, it's interesting to know. Cause I my specialty is more in US, like early American US type stuff, but, very interesting. Like, so another thing actually I wanted to know with this stuff, is there one like mint that everyone goes for? Like, I know you mentioned, Peru, but
yeah, I mean, obviously Seville is the motherland, but if I had to pick one mint that I find that has a lot of the really pretty coins that I like most, and that I guess my wish list coin. So the coin that I have where if it comes out in any auction, I'm immediately notified, is this, Signovia mint. They made some just really beautiful coins. There's a lot of history there with a lot of like princesses and queens getting inaugurated or, married there. There's a lot of historical significance to that area and to that mint. But really, it just depends where you're coming from. So, if you're looking at South America, practically anything from Colombia is more rare, and vice versa. So again, it depends, what time period, what they were making, what comes out of there that brings a certain premium. But I personally would put a small significance on the Signovia mint coins.
Wow, interesting. So with that type of stuff, you see like the collectors of it, like if they're from a particular country or region, then they tend to focus on that more so, or is it just all over the place?
That's the cool point about shipwrecks and Cobs and stuff like that, because right, when you look at a U.S. coin, right, for example, if you bring out like a common date Morgan or Double Eagle or any of them, they all practically look the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
From FX to mint state, like they just look a little prettier, right, a little shinier. But with Cobs, they were hammer stamped by usually slaves during the time period before they were milled. So they were just like, hey, we're going to produce as many of these as possible. They didn't really put two and two together or some art skills. So you get so many coins that are, off, like the same coin where like one of them's, stamped, the cross is halfway off the coin. And another one where it's centered, but it's the same coin at the same grade.
Right.
Right. So what really comes to the Cobb coins is really just, if you're looking at 1,000 of them, which one are you pointing at? Right. And that's really where their collection starts to go. What do they like? What do they grow up watching? What do they grow up doing? And that's what's really cool. And that's why, we kind of specialize in territorials and shipwrecks, because they really go hand in hand with history, and they're just super cool.
Yeah, it's a unique niche within the history of numismatics and the history of money in a broader sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I love like the territorials. We did a lot of California fractional territorials in the small denominational money in the US, which a lot of you don't even realize that there was, quarters, half dollars, and dollars, right? Which, I mean, the US made dollars when we made the largest denominational coin. We made the smallest denominational one as well, the 20s and the ones and in the 1850s. But there was actually smaller coins than the $1. And they were made to make trade more fairly. They made them all the way through, like the Mormons, all the way through to California.
Correct.
They were making small denominational gold wherever they could find it. They'd give it to jewelers to refine and so on and so forth. So,
no, definitely.
There's a lot of cool stories in that.
Yeah, definitely. And then especially how it transitioned to being officially, they went from small private minters to the actual government, taking over and eventually opening up mints.
Yeah, because if you look in the Red Book, and actually I believe it was 1872, I want to say. But that's when they put in the National Coin Act, where like it was illegal to do all of this. And you'll see the territorials, they started making like Washington style coins until they realized there was no way in the world the Secret Service was going to prevent any of this, which I was reading something the other day. And that's why I think it was Abraham Lincoln is the one that established the Secret Service right before he was assassinated. And he did it to fight counter money,
right.
which is funny because what is a Secret Service person going to do all the way over in San Francisco in the wild, wild West?
Right.
Right. Like they can't even get money out there, let alone telling people what they're already using as money. They're not allowed to use it.
Yeah. But look, it's a serious thing messing with the monetary system, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look around it though, and it's like, when you start reading into the history in the beginning, Secret Servicemen started disappearing. And then the people making the territorials started disappearing. I think like half of them got hit by a taxi or something. I'm like, at some point you start seeing a trend. Yeah,
no, definitely. Well, it's a big thing to be able to control the money supply and the monetary supply. So, and then, as these territories became states, it just, it was what eventually just happened. I mean,
it's just so difficult to control. I mean, there's so many people over such vast amounts of land,
right.
And everything was just so fresh, so new. I mean, they didn't even really have roads back then going from one end to the next. So
yeah, exactly. Transportation stuff.
Yeah. I mean, by the time someone ratted on somebody in San Francisco, it took a few months for that note to get to be addressed. And then a few more months, like the time period was completely different by the time the Secret Service made their way out there looking for whoever it was that was doing this.
Exactly.
So, I mean, in reality, you're only like hitting established businesses of people that were doing this for many, many years. They have a brick and mortar, most of them were jewelers.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
It was just, I'm a guy with a talent. I can refine your gold dust that you were just paid in and turn it into small denominational gold so you can spend more
Right.
fairly. So
it's funny how that wound up too. And then some became more respected than others because they, a lot of people, they would short you on the gold.
oh yeah. They make fake ones and stuff like that. And if you go
Yeah.
through the BG book, you really find a lot of them, which actually sell for a lot more money now, the counterfeits. But, like Robert Gray and a few of those guys, they were the more, stable in stature. They made a lot of pieces, and they're very, very well known for doing so. We used to make a joke back in the day that could anyone guess what the best and highest paying job was back in this time period? And we'd always used to say it was the Giants because they had the big pinchers, right? So before small denominational gold, I'd be like, oh, it's a pinch of gold dust for the meal and drinks tonight. Well, the dude with the biggest pointer finger and thumb would ideally grab the most gold on their finger. So, obviously it's a joke, but it gives a real insight into the time period of why small denominational coins were made, because you literally got paid in the gold dust that you sifted for the day previously.
Yeah.
So what do you do with that? And then the fact that they didn't have Priuses or common roads. Like you went in, you dropped your gold dust off, he gave you a leather pouch with all your coins in it. So, how do we have one today in proof-like condition or 66, 67, 68? To me, that's just mind-boggling.
Amazing, right?
To have a coin that was minted to be immediately traded and used, that would, been put in their pocket. Like I couldn't go to the bank today and get brand new quarters, put them in my pocket, drive home, take them out of my pocket and send them in to get graded and expect grades that high.
It's amazing they exist even, I'm telling you.
Exactly. So something 170 years later. And then again, you timestamp that and think, oh, what about something 200 years before that?
Right.
I have a milled coin from Spain right now. It's from 1746 that has a mint state 66 trade. And there's still 5 coins graded higher than that. So I'm just
it's amazing.
How I can't even hold on to something for a couple of days.
Well, the value should reflect it. That's the thing. Given the context of what that piece is and the history that comes with it and the importance of it in a grand scheme of, you're talking about the history of money. I really think that these rare coins in general are undervalued tremendously, especially with all the support of the grading companies and stuff like that and all the way you can attribute these coins. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me still to this day.
Absolutely. And that's what I think is really cool. And what a lot of people don't realize is they haven't made it outside of the US yet when it comes to the coin world. And when you do that, you realize no one overseas grades coins. Nobody.
It's crazy.
Right? It's practically unheard of. Right? That's why you get a lot of the more pretty and artistic coins from overseas, because that's really the market there. But, with that being said, right, with all the grading and with all the new stuff coming out, you're getting a lot of the dealers that are good with the internet, that know how to look stuff up, that are young, that are ready to hustle. And those are the guys that just sit on, or girls that sit on NGC and PCGS. They look through the population reports and they're like, let me find a group of coins that there's not a lot of them. Mm-hmm. Let me find something that's worth looking for, that's rare, that's, and they start finding them through the population reports and then looking for them on eBay, on websites, and then cross-reference into shows. And that's what really, in my opinion, starts, snowballing these other markets within the coin world, that really you just start seeing taken off, and you're either in it or you miss it,
Yeah, that's interesting. And that you think they're just discovering little niches like that, and then they sort of get into it. It's interesting.
Pretty much. I mean, I know a lot of people that just sit on the population reports and they wait for a new coin to come out, or they wait to see some, because ideally, you can't keep track of every mint around the world.
Oh no.
Right. I mean, if you can, by all means, show me how.
No, but there's a lot of those examples. Take, for instance, look at the Balkan countries, right? So some of those older silver pieces that are 19th century, really rare. They went through communism. I mean, they had to survive a lot. So the ones that did survive, and if they're in mint state, they go for high premiums.
Yeah. They go for a lot of money. And I think that's what people are starting to realize now, because I was joking with another, old time coin dealer. And he was like, it's hilarious because, I make less money per coin, not me, the coin dealer was saying, I make less money per coin selling a common date double eagle than the guy next to me does selling a full steps nickel. Right.
Interesting.
So it was just a joke, but it's true. You make $20 to $50 on a common date, double eagle. while, you know,
Right.
most of the other guys selling the Morgans, it's easy to make 10% on a Morgan Carson City or, you know, an OGH or, you know, a Full Steps nickel and stuff like that. Like
Sure.
asking 10%
Well, they're
or a
hard to
little bit
find.
more.
That's the thing. Like,
Exactly. But it's also normal. While on like double eagles and stuff like that, people still consider them more of a bullion coin. So
right.
you really don't make nearly as much.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, those premiums on that stuff, the generic gold is like, it's shifted over time. I mean, there was times where the premiums were higher and then they sort of went back down. But what I noticed is like, once we kind of went on a bull run with bullion, you know, it just squashed all the premiums of that stuff. People just want an American Eagle because it's easy, I think.
Yeah. Which is, it's just random to me because a proof eagle sells for like what, $2,600 right now. So again, when you do the math from what they're selling from the U.S. Mint and what they're selling in third-party markets, again, it still comes out to more premium than buying a historical 1 ounce, the largest denominational gold coin the United States ever struck for circulation.
Still crazy to me. Yeah.
Which is a little wild to me.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to be a bullion stacker, it's not bad to, I mean, why? Especially now when the premiums are high. Like,
yeah.
Okay, you want to, if I remember retail, like on an American Eagle was like $50 over, but now it's like what, 100 or something? I don't even know.
Let's see. I had it pulled up here earlier. I had my premium sheet. So for example, for a gold proof Eagle in box, it's 525 over spot. So, I mean, that's just insane.
525.
That's bid right now.
Wow.
For a regular gold 1 ounce Buffalo, it's $78 over spot. For a sealed Panda, it's $65 over spot. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, so I mean, the spot's not that high on 1 ounce gold coins, not in box, not in papers. But when you start getting to anything else above a mint state coin,
this is not worth it.
You're looking at outrageous premiums for a coin that there's usually thousands, if not millions of them that exist in multiple graded years. So
those I don't think are worth it. I mean, you're going to buy gold, then buy an American Eagle random date generic, you know.
Exactly. Now there are some rumors in the coin world that, you know, there's going to be new grading statistics that may or may not come out for modern coins. You know, so it won't be like a 1 to 70 scale. It'll have a little bit, you know, because the massive majority of modern coins come out, you know, 70s and whatnot. So, you know, how do you start breaking those 70s down a little different? And I think that's what we're going to start seeing coming around in the future, to start differentiating between what is a, you know, a high-end CAC 70, right, and just a regular you know, 70 or whatnot. So you'll probably have a different grading scale, you know, while a 70 might be 90 to 100. Right. In a new grading scale, which would make a difference in prices.
Yeah, it's definitely going to affect the market, but like for it to really establish itself, it's going to take a lot of time. I mean,
a lot of time,
100 years.
A lot of time. Yeah, well, I mean, right now the coin market is having a lot of problems. I mean, the Perth Mint and the U.S. Mint can't even come up with enough blanks to produce the coins that they want. I mean, that's the rumor why the Morgan dollars weren't made this year, was because they didn't have enough silver to make them. You know, so I mean, they didn't have enough blanks. So I mean, you know, they can pretty much ask the premiums that they want if they're selling out of coins and can't produce them fast enough.
Yeah. Interesting. And it goes to show you the supply too. I think like that's another problem with bullion, is that the price can be affected without transferring physical.
Yeah. And I mean, bullion market has been wild. I mean, gold's been over $1,600, in like the 70s and 80s, and silver has been over $100 before. Right. You know, so there's lots of time periods where if you didn't invest your money into bullion throughout the years, right, if you just like bulk bought, you would have lost a substantial amount of money or made a substantial amount of money. While, you know, in the rare coin market, you know, if you bought rare coins, if you bought, you know, top pops and really rare specific coins, as long as a whole bunch more didn't come out in population through hordes and stuff like that, which even hordes would get a special pedigree and sell for premium above, so it wouldn't even affect your premium, you did pretty good.
Right.
Right. I mean, if you look at the Red Book from, you know, 1980 till today, there's practically no coin that's worth less today than it was then.
Yeah. I agree. Look, If you focus, especially if you focus on quality, like all my clients that focused on quality and stuff like that, and put together really good collections, they made money.
They did well. They did very well. Yeah. So, you know,
and you get enjoyment out of it. Like it's something that's a hobby, but it's also an investment. You make money out of it. I mean, it's not like,
and I tell people, like double eagles, for example, there's like 15 to 20 common date and mint marks, right, that you can get at very small premiums above spot. You know, so, you know, if you're looking for that and you're trying to build a collection, like I think that that's super cool. You know, that you can get coins that are, you know, minted in the 1800s. They're the largest denominational coin the United States ever made. You get them for the smallest premium above spot comparatively to practically any silver coin and almost any other modern coin today based on premium. You know, there's really not a lot of stuff that's competitive against it besides, you know, mint state gold and bars.
Yeah, it's true. So get them and then collect different dates, you know, have a bit of fun with it as you stack, you know.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. I mean, that's what we specialize in, and we try to convert a lot of bullion buyers to get, you know, if they're monster box buyers and stuff like that. But in reality, it's really about just buying what you like, and doing it over a long period of time.
It happens. You know, like I had one bullion client. I told him every time. It took about 10 times convincing him, but then since he made the transition, now that's all he wants to buy is rare.
Yep. And usually find something that they like. Like, you know, everyone has a niche or a cross reference that slides into the numismatic market that they love.
It spikes
you know,
their interest.
Exactly. And that's pretty much every owner of every #1 pedigreed collection that you see on NGC or PCGS. You know, they bought a whole bunch of coins. They found one that really spoke to them. You know, we always joke, if a coin could talk, right? What would it say? You know, and they found one really cool series of coins that they liked, and that's what they stuck with.
Right.
And most of those people are I would say the ones that I know are you know, they're pretty happy customers or happy purchasers.
It's true, man. It's true. But circling back to Cobs actually too, I'm really happy that you guys grade everything, man, because I always tell people, like, you gotta, you know, if you're going to build a serious collection, you're going to invest money in this stuff, you got to buy certified. You got to be able to track your collection, stuff like that. I mean, that's so smart that you're doing that.
Not only that though, but like the amount of fakes that exist, like, it is honestly absurd, the amount of fake coins. Like I'm talking about like real silver, real weight, like everything pings correctly, but it's not real.
Right.
That come through our doors that we see in the market. Especially being in the Cob world, I buy tons of stuff overseas.
Exactly. It's prominent with that stuff, I would imagine, you know.
And I would say, like, let me put it this way. Any major dealer in America and overseas that we've dealt with, from buying raw coins, at least at one point in time, we bought a fake.
Yeah.
Right. And it was unbeknownst to them, maybe. You know, either way, it was rectified. I have no bad feelings with anybody.
Sure.
But it does happen, and it does happen too much. That's why, you know, most grading companies won't grade a lot of the original fissure certificates and stuff like that, unless it comes from a prominent auction, has a history line and stuff like that. And even then it's difficult. Yeah. So, you know, I always tell you, especially in the world coin market, you know, which, you know,
ancients.
It's I mean, ancients too. I don't know that much about ancients, you know, but I know that's another huge market. But I just tell people, just from Atosha, if you go to the Keys, right, and you go into the you know, the Atosha Museum, the Mel Fisher Museum, and you go in there, 99.9% of every coin in there is fake. Wow. Every one of them, right? They're all authentic Atosha silver. They're not an authentic coin from the time period. Right. And that,
so they just struck them out of the original silver.
Exactly. Like, oh, we had a goblet here that's crumbled, melted down, restamp it today, but that is still authentic silver.
Wow. What did they do with that stuff? They remade the dies?
Yeah, well, they found dies on a lot of these ships. So they would just rescan the dies and then reuse the original. So it's original die with, you know, original silver from the time period, but it's not an original coin.
So how do you differentiate that? Can you spot that, or?
I mean, most of the time you can, because they just look way too good. You know, like, for example, you're not buying a $400 coin from Mel Fisher Museum. That's a grade 1 Atosha. Like that's a $5,000 to $10,000 coin. Like if it's too good to be true, like understand you're not understanding something.
Right.
That's the big problem. Is people would go to these museums and stuff, and then they post them on Instagram. Oh, these are real Latosha silver coins, and they're technically not lying, right? And then you have that problem where someone just bought a $5,000 coin that it's authentic Latosha silver, but not an authentic Latosha coin. You don't get that problem when you get them graded. That doesn't exist.
So NGC's got that down. They're just
and so is PCGS. So I mean,
they are okay.
I haven't seen
that's
that,
good to know.
And for us, like I said before, we do it just for the photo authentication. Like I blanket will send all of them in, because if there's one that I don't like, but you might like it, I can't, like, I've seen some of the ugliest coins that are my favorite, and everyone's like, that's
what
a
are you
piece of
thinking,
crap.
right? Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Vice versa, right? The coins that I price the lowest because I feel like they're not worth that much, people are paying the most for. So at the end of the day, what I find that's nice for my customers is that you can always get the premium, right? And a small extra premium by being able to give them the holder, or being able to give them the original certificate stapled with the NGC or PCGS cert that comes with the photo authentication. Right. And it just makes everyone feel happier, right? Like I don't have just a Mel Fisher certificate with an outline of the coin, right? I have a legitimate NGC and PCGS photo authentication of my coin that says that it is authentic to the time period and pedigreed to whatever rec. That you get your money back plus some for the grading fees and stuff like that. The clients are usually a lot happier.
It's good for everybody, man. It's good for everyone involved.
I don't know if you saw, we even got our clumps graded, which no one even thought that was possible. But we have these like big old plastic bags that they put these clumps in, and then pretty much you have a photo authentication that says like Cuban coin 5 clump something. And I was like, oh, well, thanks. That helps.
That's good stuff, man. So what's on the horizon for you guys? What's going to be new for Premier Rare Coin?
I mean, right now, obviously the fun show's coming up. We're considering the Baltimore show. We also have the Greater Jacksonville show. I don't know if you guys know Penny Short, but we had brought him on last year, and he does a lot of the local shows for us. So we're really trying to, reach out and crawl out of our comfort zone. As I was telling you before, I was like sweating. My palms are sweaty, coming onto the podcast. I've never done anything like this. My
That's
Instagram.
Awesome. I'm happy to be. I'm glad I'm a part of it. You know what I mean? Like,
and thank you. I appreciate you doing this for the community. If you look on my Instagram, you only see maybe like 2 face shot photos of me. I'm not a guy that likes to be in front of the camera.
Me neither, man. That's the crazy thing. I hate it, but I don't know. I got pushed to do it, and now it's just people like it, I guess. So I've got a good response so far.
Absolutely.
A lot of people reaching out, and it's interesting because I didn't expect it.
Yeah, I mean, it works from both ways. I mean, obviously, you seem like a great commentator, right? You got a solid Joe Rogan vibe going on.
I don't know about that. I tell people, if you're not into coins, it's something to help you maybe go to sleep. You can listen to it that way.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I find that you get a lot of I guess to better answer that statement is that the cool part about it is that you get so many niches.
Yeah.
And so many things within this niche of numismatics and coin collecting.
There's
tons. That everyone you're able to talk to is usually a successful person in some sub factor, sub niche, that all the information you're going to gain talking to the same coin people is different every time.
No. Right.
And I love watching them. I love seeing the people that come on them. I watch a lot of
the
coin
different
podcasts.
Perspectives.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't know how many times where I've been at a show or been somewhere and someone said one thing or mentioned one thing, and it made a drastic butterfly effect in my career in collecting.
Sure.
So you never know what tidbit of advice will work.
No, and when you're going to pursue something like this, you got to get educated, man. You know that. I mean, you got to know what you're doing. You got to approach this and the more you're into it, the more successful you're going to be at it, because you'll retain more. You'll find a niche that you're really passionate about. You'll start to specialize, and a lot of times the real sophisticated collectors I've dealt with they're more knowledgeable than most of the dealers I know.
Yeah, and it really is, because I mean, honestly, unless you're like super specialized in one niche, you know, you have to kind of, you know, not spread yourself thin. But I mean, how much can you really do in sales in one market, right? If you just sold Morgans, I mean, at some point in time after $100 million a year for 10 years, right? There's not a lot of the top pop and finest known Morgans that are available unless you're able to trade amongst your own collectors to the public. But if you start, you know, releasing those coins that your collectors have to other dealers or other people that are not within your circle, you start to lose a little bit of that inventory over time. You know, so, you know, I've seen a lot of dealers, you know, their job is to find the coins that they can make money on. You know, so, you know, that's the vast majority. You know, so they don't really specialize. They don't really niche in, you know, most dealers are wholesale to wholesale. You know, there's not really a lot of retail quote dealers. You know, especially when you go to shows, it's mainly dealer to dealer.
Yeah, that there is still a lot of that business. That's true.
Yeah.
I feel like that works in a weird way because everyone's got a different collector base. I think, you know, I think it just works that way because other people, you know how it is. People buy deals because they want to buy the deal, and there's other coins in there, and maybe they don't have clients for those coins, so they'll go and they'll do this wholesale business with other dealers, usually during the day of setup at a show, right?
Yeah, usually it's setup day, and honestly, if you go into any show and you ask the guys, "What's your biggest day?" Right, the more established dealers that have been doing it for a long period of time, they're going to say dealer day. Right, there's no day that ever compares to dealer. And that's honestly, most of the big time dealers that I talk to, and that I meet with and stuff like that, they're there 2 days before. So like, you know, if the show starts on a Wednesday, they're there on a Sunday, Monday, and they're all doing their inter-network deals way before the show even opens. You know, they have their meetings and their calls. So, I mean, you're talking millions of dollars that is traded before the show even opens, let alone just the dealer day.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, I will say it's super cool to see like all the Instagram kids and all the younger community though out there on dealer day, you know, hustling, you know, these kids and adults, you know, they're flying out there, right? They're getting ready. They're in line first with other people that they know are looking for the same material, and they're running through these booths.
It's cool, right? Yeah.
Right. It's epic. It's so cool to see such a younger generation, you know, getting out there hustling and making money. And I buy a lot from them. You know, awesome. They know what I like. I tell them they do the hard work for me.
Yeah, it's funny. It's great. Like, and then I feel like it's always reassuring to see like new people come into the industry, and you get a broader perspective of that, because I think a lot of people who don't know nothing about coins and they're not in the coin world, they think that, you know, the coin world is just one age demographic, and that's all it is, and it's not true. You know?
Yeah, not at all. I mean, we just hit like 30,000 followers on Instagram, and our age demographic is in the high 30s. Most of the people that are buying from us, like almost every year, we see our age demographic drop a couple years, which I mean is breathtaking. You know, for a community that thought we were going to die out, you know, it seems like it's just picking up.
Very cool. I think it's going to continue to grow, man. And the more we put this stuff online and people become aware of this stuff, we're going to just see it grow. And as always, the good stuff gets more and more expensive. And then the common stuff sort of just flounders and goes with different markets. You know, it's like there's interest in, you know, it's more prone to bubbles and busts, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, I hate to circle back to this for the 100th time, but you know, that's one thing I think is cool when you're looking at populations and stuff like this. Cause like, for example, common double eagles, you know, there may be a few thousand, tens of thousands of these, but because they're so close to spot, because they exist like that, you know, it only takes a small percentage of bullion buyers to switch over to those coins before they start becoming scarce and unique. And that's really what happens in the market, is when a certain group of people really start focusing on a particular coin, they start getting bought up. Yeah. And obviously everything leads back to supply and demand. You know, and you know, for example, when I went to the Central Stage Show, you know, I try to find any double eagle under 2,000 at the show. I bought every one that I could find. I only found like 8.
Yeah. Right.
When some shows I can get like 100. So, you know, really going to the shows and meeting the dealers and talking to them and walking around, you know, that was, at least in the past, the only way to get a good feel of where the coin market's going. Right. You know, before premiums are about to skyrocket and how things are going. Mm-hmm. Now with Instagram and Facebook, it's bringing the world together virtually, which is creating unprecedented things.
Yeah. Well, it accelerated during the pandemic. I mean,
oh yeah,
that's kind of where everything was happening. And then you're like, wow. And then seeing more established people jump on the bandwagon, you're like, oh, okay, this is getting serious now. Like everyone's coming online. Like,
yeah, which is surprising to see that, when you go to a coin world, how many people are still not online, which is what you were saying before. Yes. I couldn't fathom a number or a guess, but I would say a large majority, probably more than 50% of the coins that are out there are not online. Right. You're not going to find them in auctions. They've never been in auctions. You usually find them because someone got it graded, right? You're like, oh, this coin just popped up in NGC or PCGS. Like someone just sent this in to get graded. How do I find this coin? Who has it? You start asking those questions. You start looking. You start, bringing awareness for these products, and that's how
very hard. I mean, that's sort of kind of what made me made me successful in a way, is that like, knowing the collectors and stuff like that, you're able to match make stuff. Like where all the bodies are buried essentially. But exactly. as things get more online, I think more people will be, more transparent about that stuff. You'll see more over a wider range of collection of what's available. But always, as always, the really good stuff, the really prime stuff just goes like that, and boom, then it's done. It's in someone else's collection for the next potentially 20 years.
Yeah, we always make an off-color joke amongst the coin friends, but you're never going to find an amazing coin unless no one knows it's amazing. Because if they have it and they know it's amazing, they already have a buy for it.
Yeah, of course.
Right? I don't know that many dealers that are like, oh, I just saw that coin in auction. I didn't know anything about it and I bought it. Right? It's more or less like this came through the doors and I was just unaware. And I had to go to an auction, or I had to go to a show 2 days later, and I brought it with me. Other than that, most dealers have a home for a coin that they buy, right? Unless they know it's just an average coin that continues to sell, so they'll continue to keep it in stock for the more common coins.
Oh yeah.
So it has made the world interesting, which is one reason why I love Instagram. Because, you see all like on Facebook and all these places, you have these Discords and you have these specialty groups to get into and all this stuff. And I'm like, those are nice. Right.
Instagram is made for coins because it's visual. You know what I mean?
And not only that though, but like, for example, right. Let's just say you're like, okay, like I've been in this market, like, for example, what's your favorite coin? Like if you were to pick a coin, like what would it be?
Well, I love territorials. I love like Kellogg and Company coins. I mean, we tend to focus more on that. I mean, I focus around like Pikes Peak, the Clark Gruber series.
So me and you come from the same
mindset.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we should definitely probably have
patterns. I have a lot of clients collecting patterns,
Yeah. Now. We just sold the Mac Daddy at the Central State show, a Judd 775. It was a $5 gold coin made out of nickel, only 2 in the world, which was pretty cool.
That's so cool.
But like, it just, it's just interesting, to see the market where it's at. But like, for example, if you like those territorials, you could go create an Instagram right now that says Territorial Man. And all you follow is hashtags, no people.
Yeah.
Just hashtags, like hashtag territorial, hashtag, Kellogg coin, hashtag, Robert Gray, hashtag California fractional. So you just start following all these extremely specific to you hashtags. And every time you open your Instagram, you're going to see every coin on the planet that someone posted with that hashtag. So you're going to find it before any show, any group, right? Anyone knows to go on a group and post it. You're going to find it from anyone. From if that, grandma found a coin in her basement and goes, oh, wow, this is a, ground zero, right? PCGS coin. Well, if you typed in, ground zero hashtag coin, right? And someone hashtags that, right? You're going to find it. Right. If you type in 1715 fleet under hashtag, right, you're going to get every post someone makes with a hashtag 1715 is going to pop up on your feed. Right. So, a lot of people don't know that or don't use Instagram like that. And I tell them
it helps cataloging, right? It's like classifying and cataloging.
Well, for example, like early on, a long time ago, I made one just for Tone Morgans. And I would find any and everyone posting one for sale, even if you're just a little coin dealer, like, and I didn't follow you. Like, how would I ever know? Right. There's so many toned Morgan and toned like groups on Facebook and Discord and all this stuff.
Well,
and
toning is a huge thing. I mean, and especially on Instagram, because it's it has that visual effect, it pops.
Absolutely. But like, where's the one place you can go to that's going to bring all this information? Like, people say you can go to dealers helping dealers and all this stuff, but everyone that's already posting their stuff online is also hashtagging and posting it online.
Yeah.
So, being able to go on Instagram and just following hashtags could tremendously help people in finding the niche products that they want to look for.
Yeah. Coins of Instagram is a good one.
Yeah, it is a great one. But the only problem is that's very broad.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to see anyone that posts with that. But if you just follow Kellogg, right, coins, or Humbert coins, or territorial coins, or coins of, like, for example, I'm brokering right now Coins of the West. I have the whole collection, all 36 coins in the original bronze holder.
Interesting.
Right, like I think we just brokered that for like $90,000. Right. So but if you want something like that, like when I post it in a week or two, I'm going to put Coins of the West hashtag. I'm going to put California fractional hashtag. I'm going to put Alaskan fractional hashtags. I'm going to put all these industry specific hashtags.
What are the main hashtags for like shipwreck stuff in Cobs?
World money, Spanish gold, shipwreck, loot. It's kind of funny, but pirate, right? And we post a lot of them down there as well. But I would definitely say shipwreck, loot, gold cob, escudo or real, 8 escudo, little stuff like that, right? The goal is to put your mindset in the person that randomly has this coin, right? What are they going to look at and hashtag, right? World money, Spanish money, old money, escudos, a piece of 8, treasure, stuff like that. So those are the hashtags if you're looking for this kind of stuff that you want to follow, because you want to be alerted the second someone posts a random coin that they just found with the hashtags that they're asking, best offer, this and that. Like, if you want to be the first one to find that coin, you're not going to find it if you don't follow them. So the only other way to find it is by hashtags. So, I have Premier Rare Coins, and then I have a few other Instagrams that specialize in those particular areas.
That's interesting, because the ones I've been following, I've been really behind on it. I'm like following generic ones like Rare Coin, Coins of Instagram, stuff like that.
Which is cool, because like if you want to grow your Instagram, right, you want very generic hashtags, because you want to be able to like as many different people's posts as possible. So for example, if you were just like, I'm going to extra follow Coins of Instagram and stuff like that, or gold coins, or PCGS coin, or NGC coin and stuff like that, right, you're going to get a large variety of posts from a large variety of people. So to go on every day, like their post, comment something cool on it, with the hopes that, out of 100, 2 may follow you back, right? That would be the specific goal for that.
But the people that are looking to collect a specific thing or buy something specific, they're gonna dial it down to more specific hashtag.
Exactly. And that's what's
makes
really
sense.
cool.
Makes perfect.
Because you don't have to be in a gold group, and you don't have to be Premier Rare Coins with 30,000 followers to be able to have that reach.
Right.
And as more and more kids and adults and stuff like that are getting on social media, posting their coins, adding proper hashtags and stuff like that, it makes it really easy for someone that has a niche to find those coins. If you typed in Pikes Peak gold, right? So hashtag Pikes Peak gold, like, I don't know if there's a lot there, but even if there's 10, that's 10 people that posted something about Colorado Pikes Peak gold. Colorado
Those are the people that know.
Exactly. So like, those are the hashtags that, I follow and I'd recommend following, because, if a coin ever comes up in that aspect, it's immediately like, oh, this posted 2 minutes ago, DM me. And the way Instagram hashtag works is they'll even start showing you sponsors for stuff like that. So if you really, really start niching in one area on Instagram, on your buy Instagram or whatnot, right? Instagram, their algorithms will start showing you more stuff like that.
They do the work for you, right?
Exactly. So, and that's just like, I've probably bought and sold over $1 million of coins just because of Instagram Reels and like when you go to that finding page. So it's not even hashtags that I'm following. It's not even people that I'm following. It's just I've liked and followed such a niche market that Instagram is bringing me the only other things in that market that exist. So I'm seeing the stuff that I may be missing, those smaller, better hashtags that I may be missing. And that's always good too, you know, because I'll be like, oh, how did I not see that coin? I look through their hashtags. I'm like, that's nothing I follow, but that's a good hashtag or two.
Right.
Let me add those to the ones that I'm going to follow those right now. Boom, done. You know, so, you know, and that's how you grow that. And that really can help someone specialize and niche into particular products.
Yeah. Very cool stuff, man. Well, this is really exciting. I'm happy that, like, you know, companies like you are really putting effort in this stuff and trying to take it to the next level, man, because that's what's going to need to happen. And, you know, it's very cool to see, and you guys do a great job at what you do.
I appreciate it. Yeah. We're big on being inclusive, and as transparent as possible. You know,
and that's always the best. I tell people too, just ask questions. Like, I'm here, like, use us as a resource. Number one, get familiar, learn the stuff, get prepared to do what you want to do. And then when you're ready, you talk to someone, you let someone like us that help you, that's knowledgeable, that knows what they're doing, and then could guide you in the right direction. It's not going to steer you wrong, you know?
Absolutely. And the best tip of advice is just, if someone asks you a question you don't know, just tell them, listen, I'm going to find out for you. Right. Give me a second. Like, hey, I bought this book, I read it, and this is where I found the answer to your question. Right. And you know, adults, collectors, astute collectors, you know, they really take very well to that. Yeah. Besides someone just spitting off, because 9 times out of 10, like you said, most collectors know more than the dealers. Yeah, so if you just start spitting out trash, right? Collectors right off the bat going to know you're full of it and not do business with you.
That's why I do a lot of referring. Like, if someone comes to me and they want something specific and I don't really, that's not my area, I refer them to the person that I know that handles that.
And the best part about that is, if you do that over a long course of time and you do create your other friends or other colleagues' business, they usually always return the paper. Always.
Yeah. If they get someone that you know, is looking for like Pikes Peak stuff, they send them my way, you know, it works that way.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So
I love it.
Errors is a big thing. Like, I know nothing about error. I mean, like, that it's fascinating to me, but I don't know the people that collect it. I don't really know much about it. I don't, you know, so but we get it all the time. Like, I get people calling me all the time about stuff like that. Sometimes it turns out to be genuine pieces, but most of the time it doesn't, obviously, but still, I refer to the people that are experts in that, you know?
Yeah, which is, and that's another thing why we get every coin graded, because, like, even though I have some bit of knowledge, right? At least I like to think I do. You know, at the end of the day, right? You never want to be the one that sells an unauthentic coin.
No, you can't know it all, you know? It's hard.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, it does happen, but it won't happen if you always get your coins graded.
Right.
Right. And as a dealer, you can never really shake that. You know, once that gets out there that you've sold a fake coin or an unauthentic coin or whatnot, even if you do all your diligence correctly, you can easily have someone try to trash your name, which is, you know,
that's why I don't mess around. I just only certify. Yeah. I have all my clients will get certified coins.
Yeah, not everything. It goes in as certified. Yeah. I don't care what it is.
No, it's true. And they have accountability too. These grading companies are very good. They stand behind that.
Yeah, they do. Very much so.
I've seen them pay out, so I know.
Oh, really? Well, yeah. You can't beat that.
Right? What other industry has that? Think about it. You can't find that in art.
No.
A quote unquote art authenticator is not going to do that for you.
No, they're not going to back their product and authenticate it. And that's why it is so important getting them authenticated and getting them certified and going through that process. And always, if I go to PCGS, I'm always paying for a photo authentication. That's one reason why I love NGC, because they've always had a precedent of taking a photo of every coin, no matter how crappy the photo may be, it's there. Right. You know, which is, you know, that's the step into the future. You know, that's what you need. And that's what you want.
Yeah. You're building a giant repository for coins too. It's cool. So
Absolutely.
How can we find you online, man? Well, tell us all the information we need to know.
So, I mean, obviously Instagram's our biggest route. we're at 30.8 thousand followers on there. I think just about 19 on Facebook, but we're really, really active on Instagram. That's our main goal. If you look at our link there, you'll find a link to our eBay.
Just tell people Amazon. What is your handle on Instagram?
So Premier Coins, that's our handle. Okay. We're the only one. You can't miss us. Our website is actually prc.gold. We actually own .gold, so it's pretty cool.
Cool.
But yeah, you just go into your web browser, type in prc.gold, and it pulls up our website right away. We have over like 10 to like $12 million worth of inventory currently right now. Lots of BGs and fractionals that we get in a lot, but mainly pre-1933 gold and silver, like double eagles. I think we just got around like 250 different double eagles in. So we do a lot of work with building collections and bringing collections in. So prc.gold is an easy way to find us, but Instagram is the best way to communicate with us, especially me directly. I answer 99% of all the messages through Instagram. And then my GM, Robert, he's the one that manages a lot of the shipping and fulfillment.
Awesome.
And he's the one that just communicates with you when we do like live shows or auctions and stuff like that.
Cool. Very good stuff, man. Well, Jeff, it was a pleasure talking to you, man. I'm really appreciative, and I'm glad we got to make this happen.
Absolutely. Me too. And I appreciate it. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for creating the platform, obviously spending your time, your money, and investment in getting all this up and running and creating this platform for the numismatic community. I think that it's something that they're really going to appreciate in time. And is very knowledgeable. Like I said, I've watched every one of your podcasts, and I love them. So
thanks,
thank you,
man. I appreciate it. I mean, I do it. I say I do it for the coin community. I mean, I try to designate my time, even though it is very busy these days, to do this. I don't profit off of it. I do it for the nature of trying to help people out and broaden the coin industry. So.
Absolutely. Well, if you need my help getting anyone else on here or recommend anybody, just hit me up and
awesome.
I'll shoot them all your way.
Will do. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man.
Take care. Have a good one.